Hi, this is Melanie Dawn, and this is Dawn of Wisdom. I'm all about taking responsibility, so here it goes. Today, I want to talk about my enemy. That saying, I am my worst enemy, it's true. I see my triggers, shadows, dark side, whatever you want to call it, that ugly part of me that I just can't seem to get rid of, or that I thought was gone. I beat myself up. I hate that part of me. Hard word, but I need to say it. That feels that dark side. I thought I had it somewhat under control, worked through it, but damn, it's still there, haunting me. And it's like, what the fuck? This past week, I went to beautiful Lake Tahoe. What should have been a lovely time, enjoying nature, hiking, doing exactly what I love to do. I felt anger, anxiety, and fear. It was not a good trip for me. Something came out in me, something I dislike about myself. I went with a person I've known for years and felt overwhelmed with discomfort. I couldn't wait to come home and try to get back to feeling peace, joy, and happiness. My drive home was filled with such anxiety. Why? Why did I feel this nasty, ugly feeling? Why did I allow the enemy to rear its ugly head? I felt shame. Why has this old yet familiar feeling show up? What am I supposed to learn from this? I felt I had a wake-up call this week. I called a friend that has known me for years, and she reminded me that I am still that little girl that hurts, that feels pain, that feels that I don't deserve happiness. She reminded me that I punished myself, felt shame, anger, anxiety most of my life. She asked me, why do you feel these feelings? And I don't know. They're my feelings. They have been there in my body, in my mind, most of my life. She said, you need to embrace them, practice exploring them, do it again and again and again. Instead of being upset that these feelings have resurfaced, I need to go back to my practice and revisit them. I need to embrace and have empathy for myself, empathy towards that little girl. Yes, I strongly believe this all goes back to my inner child. Why do we loop around? Why do we continue to have these feelings? They resurface. And shame, guilt, whatever they may be, they come out. They come out when you least expect it. I don't have the answers to it all, but I do know that my inner child has been with me all my life. She has felt shame, sadness, anger, anxiety. These feelings have been around longer than any awareness that I've had. Many years I've expected them as me and never questioned why. I realized I needed to be tender with myself. I need to be kinder and have more compassion. My inner child still and always will need love. I have work to do. It's practice over and over again. I've learned that my inner child deserves love, and I need to continue to revisit her, to embrace her, to accept her. Even when I have a hard time, I need to go back to these feelings. The shame we feel is common for those of us that grew up in a dysfunctional family. We feel bad about our worth as a person, believing that we're defective, unlovable, even bad. Shame is painful because it's always with you. It is a constant feeling of unworthiness. Abuse and neglected children do not have the maturity to understand that they are okay. Instead, children see it as I must be bad. Children are unable to make an adult abusive. We're unable to do that, and yet we feel responsible. We carry the shame into adulthood. It's bullshit. But we do. So we need to find ways to work with that. As adults, we need to learn to be more nurturing towards ourselves and to have more understanding about what we can control and what we can't in order to heal those childhood wounds. If they ever actually heal. That is a question I have. Our inner child is an expression of our life experiences. Our inner child plays a significant part in our development as an adult. I have to remind myself of this. Each of us has that inner child. Getting in touch with your inner child can foster well-being. And I know that. I've experienced that. According to John Bradshaw, he's the author of Homecoming, Reclaiming and Championing Your Inner Child. There are 6 steps in the process of healing your wounded inner child. And I'd like to share these with you. I read it, and it's quite deep, his book. But it's worth going through and exploring. Number 1, trust. For your wounded inner child to come out of hiding, you must be able to trust that you will be there. Your inner child also needs a supportive, non-shaming ally to rationalize your abandonment, neglect, abuse, and enmeshment. These are the first essential elements in pain work. 2, validation, the ways in which you feel shame, ignored, or used in some way. You need to accept the fact that these things truly wounded your soul. Your parents weren't bad. They were also wounded kids themselves. I have to remind myself of that. 3, shock and anger. It's okay to be angry. In fact, you have to be angry if you want to heal your wounded child. It's okay to be mad about a dirty deal. I know that my parents were wounded, but I'm also aware that I was deeply wounded spiritually. And it was hard, life-damaging consequences for me. Say out loud, I will not tolerate the outright dysfunction and abuse that damaged my family system. 4, sadness. After anger comes hurt and the sadness. I realized I'm not quite there yet. I'm working on it. At times I feel it, but often I don't. We must grieve for what might have been, our dreams and aspirations. We must grieve our unfulfilled development needs. 5, remorse. When we grieve for someone who's died, remorse is sometimes more relevant. For instance, perhaps we wish we would have spent more time with that person. In grieving childhood abuse, abandonment, neglect, etc., we must help our inner child to see that there was nothing you could have done differently. 6, loneliness. The deepest core feelings of grief or toxic shame. Loneliness. We were shamed by what happened to us. We feel we were bad as if we were contaminated, and that shame leads to loneliness. Since our inner child feels flawed and defective, we cover up our true self by adapting to a false self. I've done this my whole life. I've always said I felt like an alien. I felt like someone who was truly defective, and I've adapted as a false self. You then come to identify yourself as that false self. Your true self remains alone and isolated. Staying with those painful feelings is the hardest part of that grieving process. The only way out is through it. I know people hate to hear that, but it's true. It's hard to live in shame and loneliness, but as we embrace these feelings, we can come out the other side. We encounter the self that has been hiding. In embracing our shame and loneliness, we begin to touch our truest self, which I love that. I have touched my truest self. I saw my shadow trigger Whatever you want to call it this last week, I recognize that it is showing up rather than pushing it down and feeling overwhelmed with shame. I'm going to allow myself to stay with these feelings. I'm going to speak to the shadow part of me. I'm going to attempt to speak to that little girl with compassion. I know that this work can be messy. It cannot be ignored. You can never feel it's done. I know that. In fact, it needs to be appreciated, or else we just can't grow. I have some helpful thoughts that help me through my dark side, my triggers, shadows, etc. Whatever you call that side of you, that needs to be explored and not ignored. Let me say that again. Whatever you call that side of you, it needs to be explored and not ignored. So my thoughts, number one, keep an open mind. I closed mine this last week, so this is a great reminder that your inner child is a representative of your past experiences. Approach your inner child work with curiosity instead of fear. 2, look to children for guidance. Children can teach you a lot. Watch them play. Listen to their words. Feel the freedom they feel while playing with their friends. 3, revisit past memories. Don't avoid them. This is difficult for me, but I try to find good memories. I try to find joyful memories. This is a practice for sure. 4, spend time doing things you enjoy. For me, it's walking, music, spending time with family and friends. 5, talk to your inner child. I do this a lot by writing. I do inner child meditations. I cry with my inner child. I practice having compassion for myself, my precious, beautiful little girl. 6, talk to someone, a therapist, a coach, a close friend that knows you, a professional that does inner child work, someone that supports you. You can learn to reparent your inner child. Connecting with our inner child can help us understand and be aware, and can help you understand your adult experience better, can help you deal from your past and have self-compassion. Connecting to our inner child can help us regain a sense of wonder instead of pain, fear, anxiety, anger, etc. Connecting with our inner child leads to a stronger sense of self. Today, I'm going on a long walk. I'm going to practice connecting to my little girl. I might swing on the swing set at the beach, or I might just sit and listen to an inner child meditation. I'm going to reflect, and I want to have fun. I'm going to forgive myself for having these emotions, and I'm going to have compassion and love for myself. I'm going to practice being okay when I experience old feelings. I'm going to revisit and I'm going to explore. It's okay to feel. We should not forget where it comes from. We need to take responsibility and we need to forgive. I will end this with an anonymous quote that I found that I love, and I hope you enjoy it. When you have lost your joy, look for your inner child. Wake her from her long, scared slumber. Tell her it's safe to come out. Tell her it's okay to play. Tell her you have her in your arms. Tell her no one can hurt her anymore. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed my little confession, and I hope you enjoyed my little words of wisdom. Thank you for listening today. Please subscribe. Please get on and give me a review. Instagram, it's Dawn of Wisdom, one word, or you can always email me, nurse.mello@yahoo.com. I hope my life lessons help you to love more, to love yourself more, even when you feel you messed up. You guys have a great weekend.